The dream property, high hopes, and Airbnb ambitions. Claire had always believed in signs. So when she and Mark stumbled upon the listing for 12 Maplewood Lane, just as they were discussing ways to diversify their income, she took it as fate. The house was a postcard come to life, a two-story Victorian with a wrap-around porch, original hardwood floors, and a backyard that seemed custom-made for summer barbecues. The real estate agent, a woman with a too-tight blazer and a smile that didn't reach her eyes, called it a hidden gem. Claire called it home, or at least a future goldmine. Mark, ever the pragmatist, had spent the drive back from the viewing crunching numbers on his phone. Even if we only rent it out 20 nights a month at $150 a night, that's $3,000 in passive income, he said, tapping the screen. After the mortgage, we're looking at $1,800 profit. We could pay off the pool in 2 years, maybe even start that college fund for the kids. Claire had already started a Pinterest board, Maplewood Lane Airbnb. She pinned photos of fluffy white towels rolled into swans, mason jars filled with wildflowers, and a chalkboard sign that read, "Welcome to your home away from home." She imagined the reviews. Claire and Mark's place was magical. The perfect retreat. We never wanted to leave. Their neighbors, Greg and Linda Wilson, were the first to hear the news. They lived 2 doors down in a ranch-style house with a yard full of plastic flamingos and a live, laugh, love sign nailed to the fence. Greg worked in sales, something vague and commission-based, and Linda ran a boutique marketing consultancy from their kitchen table. They were the kind of couple who talked about hustle culture and side gigs like they were religious doctrines. The night Claire and Mark signed the papers, the Wilsons invited them over for celebratory margaritas. Linda, already on her second drink, clinked her glass against Claire's. "You two are going to be living the dream," she said, her voice thick with envy. "We've thought about doing Airbnb, but we just don't have the right property. Yours is perfect." Greg nodded, swirling the ice in his glass. "You're gonna make a killing. Just wait till you see the bookings roll in." Claire glowed under the praise. But as the night wore on, she noticed the way Linda's eyes lingered on the before photos of the house, the way Greg kept asking about maximizing occupancy and minimizing overhead. There was something hungry in their questions, something that made Claire shift uncomfortably in her seat. The first cracks, rowdy guests and overflowing trash. The first guests arrived on a Friday afternoon, a group of 6 women in their late 20s, lugging coolers and a Bluetooth speaker the size of a small dog. Claire had left a welcome basket on the kitchen counter, local honey, a bag of artisanal coffee, and a handwritten note. "So excited to host you," she'd written, signing it with a heart. By 11 p.m., the music was so loud Claire could feel the bass vibrating through her bedroom floor. She texted Mark, who was out of town for work. "Is this normal? Should we say something?" His reply was immediate. "Relax. It's one night. Good reviews. More bookings." But it wasn't just one night. The next morning, Claire found red Solo cups scattered across her lawn. The women had left at 3 a.m., according to the timestamp on the security camera footage, stumbling and laughing as they piled into Ubers. The trash bin outside the Airbnb was overflowing, and a raccoon had torn open a bag, scattering pizza crusts and beer cans across the sidewalk. Claire knocked on the Wilsons' door, holding her phone with photos of the mess. Linda answered, her hair in a messy bun, a mug of coffee in hand. "Oh, that," she said, barely glancing at the screen. "People are on vacation. They want to have fun. You can't expect them to tiptoe around." "But the trash is attracting animals," Claire said. "And the noise. It's not just me. Mr. Thompson said he couldn't sleep." Linda sighed, as if Claire were a child complaining about bedtime. "Look, if you wanted peace and quiet, you shouldn't have moved next to the funhouse." She shut the door before Claire could respond. The neighborhood pushes back. By the end of the month, the rest of Maplewood Lane had noticed the changes. The retired couple next door, the Thompsons, found a broken beer bottle in their driveway. The young family across the street, the Garcias, complained that their toddler was waking up to drunken shouting at 2 a.m. Even the usually stoic Mr. Patel, who ran the corner store, mentioned that he'd had to call the police after a group of Airbnb guests tried to buy beer with fake IDs. Claire organized a neighborhood meeting in the Thompsons' backyard. 12 out of the 15 households on Maplewood Lane showed up, armed with complaints and a shared sense of frustration. "This isn't just about noise," Mrs. Garcia said, bouncing her son on her hip. "It's about safety. What if one of these guests hurts someone or starts a fire?" Mr. Thompson, his face gaunt after a recent health scare, cleared his throat. "Last week, a car full of kids blocked my driveway. I had to wait 20 minutes for an ambulance because they wouldn't move. 20 minutes. The group fell silent. Claire felt a pang of guilt. She'd been so focused on the potential income that she hadn't considered the consequences. They drafted a petition citing noise violations, property damage, and a decline in quality of life. Claire, torn between her friendship with the Wilsons and her growing unease, was the one who delivered it to their doorstep. Greg answered, his face darkening as he read the list of signatures. "This is ridiculous," he snapped. "You're all just jealous because we're making money while you're stuck in your boring little lives." Linda appeared behind him, arms crossed. "If you don't like it, sell your house." The next day, the Wilsons retaliated. They installed a hot tub in their backyard and updated their Airbnb listing. New feature, party-ready hot tub, perfect for groups. The bookings skyrocketed. So did the noise. The turning point, a nightmare on Maplewood Lane. The incident that broke the camel's back happened on a sweltering July night. A group of 20-somethings had rented the house for a birthday bash, and by 10 p.m., the street was packed with cars. Music thumped so loudly that Claire's windows rattled. She called the police, but by the time they arrived, the party had spilled into the yard. Someone had set off fireworks, and a spark landed on the Thompsons' dry lawn, igniting a small fire. The fire department arrived just in time, but the damage was done. The Thompsons' garden was ruined, and the acrid smell of smoke hung in the air for days. The police issued a noise violation, and the HOA sent a stern letter warning of further action. Airbnb, inundated with complaints, flagged the Wilsons' listing for neighborhood disruption. Reviews poured in. "Neighbors are hostile. Police were called on us. False advertising. This place is a nightmare." Bookings cancelled. The Wilsons slashed their prices, but even at half the rate, no one wanted to stay at the party house with the angry neighbors. Then came the fines. The city cited them for operating an illegal short-term rental. They'd never bothered with permits. The HOA levied fees for property misuse. Airbnb suspended their account pending an investigation. Claire watched from her kitchen window as Greg power washed the porch, his face twisted in frustration. The hot tub, once a symbol of their success, now sat empty, its water green with algae. The welcome basket inside was long gone, replaced by a single, sad-looking instant coffee packet. The aftermath. A neighborhood reclaims itself. By autumn, the Wilsons had listed the house for sale. The for sale sign, planted crookedly in the front yard, became a silent monument to their hubris. The price dropped twice in 3 months. Claire and Mark, too, had learned their lesson. They took down their Airbnb listing and rented the house to a quiet tenant, a schoolteacher named Emily, who promised to respect the community. Emily planted marigolds along the walkway and left a thank you note in Claire's mailbox after her first month. One evening, as Claire sat on her porch with a cup of tea, she listened to the sounds of the neighborhood, the distant hum of a lawnmower, the laughter of the Garcia kids playing tag in their yard, the soft clink of Mr. Patel's wind chimes. For the first time in over a year, there were no screaming partiers, no shattering bottles, no blaring music. Mr. Thompson, now recovered, waved at her from his driveway. "Peaceful, isn't it?" he called. Claire smiled. "Yes, it is. The dream property had become a cautionary tale, but Maplewood Lane, at last, was itself again.